Subtitles. Should you use them or not? Some people say you should use them all the time. Others say you should never use them. The truth is a little more complicated than that. So let's explore it together. Stay to the end for my favourite subtitle tip. I'm Cara Leopold from Leo Listening, where I help movie-loving English learners understand and discuss iconic movies together so they can improve their English listening, speaking and pronunciation skills. So let's get into this video all about subtitles. Yes? No? Maybe? In my many years of teaching English with films, I've heard a lot of stories about subtitles. So recently, a native English speaker told me that he mastered Spanish by watching Spanish movies with subtitles. But I've also heard from English learners who can recognise every single word on the subtitles, but when they remove the subtitles, they can't catch them. As for my story of language learning and subtitles, we need to go back to when I was learning French at university, way back in the mid-2000s. So at this time, I used to borrow video cassettes, remember those, from the library and watch French movies at home because I thought this was a great way to immerse myself in the French language. But the problem with video cassettes, if you remember these VHS cassettes, is they have no subtitling options whatsoever. It's not like with a DVD where you can choose to put them on or off. So I would watch these films and then get really frustrated because it sounded like the actors were mumbling and I couldn't catch things. Like at some points it sounded like they were saying which I'm sure you've experienced if you've watched movies in English and you've struggled to understand them. So in fact, watching movies in French as an intermediate French learner with no subtitles didn't actually help me. And what would have helped is being able to turn on the subtitles just to check the sections that I couldn't understand. Was I not understanding them because there were a lot of new words and expressions? Or more likely, was I not understanding because the actors were pronouncing words and expressions I did know in an unfamiliar way? And that brings me to a really important point about subtitles, which is you can choose when to use them and when not to use them. And whether or not you use them depends on what you're trying to achieve. So I have a movie club for English learners where we watch a new movie every month and discuss it. Now, one of my club members who has been in the club for 3 years and has a really good level of English still watches each new movie with the subtitles. And I fully support that. That's because I don't mind how the club members watch the movie initially. That could be with subtitles, without subtitles, dubbed into their own language, and then in English. And the reason I don't mind is that the goal initially is just to understand the movie, form some opinions about it, and be ready to discuss it with others. The goal is not to understand the whole movie in painstaking detail or anything like that. Understanding the details comes a little bit later. So if you're watching movies in English for pleasure or for immersion in English, there's no need to stress out about the subtitles. You can just use them if it makes it easier and more enjoyable for you to watch the movie. It's only when you want to understand the details or work on specific skills that you need to be a bit more careful about when and how you use the subtitles. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, please give it a like and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this on learning English with movies. So let's take a look at those times when you might want to be a bit more careful about when you turn the subtitles on and off. So if we use the example of my movie club again, once the members of the club have all watched the film, then they also have listening and speaking tasks to work on, and those are based on specific scenes of the movie, short scenes that last maybe 2 or 3 minutes maximum. So when they work on their listening skills, they listen to lines of dialogue from the film that I choose without the subtitles several times and then try to write what they hear. Now, this listening exercise is called dictation, and it really helps you to catch all the details of fast speech that you normally miss, or at least to become more aware of them. Now, after the club members have listened a few times and they're ready to check their work, then and only then do they turn on the subtitles, and that way they can see what they got right and also the words that they misheard or missed completely. So when you're studying a scene from a particular movie in detail, which I recommend that you do, that's a really good opportunity to watch without subtitles first and then with subtitles afterwards to check how much you understood. Another time that you might like to use the subtitles very intentionally is when you want to write down new vocabulary. So if you're watching a movie or watching a scene and you hear a new expression that seems interesting or useful to you, then you can turn on the subtitles to make sure that you write down the new vocabulary correctly. Now, I promise to share my favorite piece of subtitle advice at the end of this video, and congratulations, you've made it. So this brilliant tip comes from my friend Elfin, who teaches Italian, and she has spent a lot of time reassuring her Italian learners that it's okay to use subtitles. And her tip for them was to turn the subtitles on and off as you watch a movie or TV series. So for example, if you're watching a movie for pleasure, but you know that you'll get stuck sometimes, then just allow yourself to turn on the subtitles when you get to a scene with difficult dialogue or there's a character with a strange accent who you have a hard time understanding. Or if you feel bad about using subtitles because somebody on the internet told you that it was a bad idea to use them, then why not just turn them on for 5 minutes and then turn them off for 5 minutes? Or for 10 minutes and then off for 10 minutes. You get the idea. Try this tip and see if it works for you. So there you have it, my take on whether or not to use subtitles when you watch movies in English. I guess we can say the answer is yes and no, or maybe it depends on what you're doing. If you'd like to improve your English listening skills and more so you can understand films and native speakers in real life, then make sure you join the waiting list for my movie club, which you can find below in the description. And while you're down there, let me know in the comments, how do you watch movies and TV shows in English? With the subtitles, without the subtitles, a mixture? Let me know what's worked for you.